Welcome back, everybody. To close the book on this semester, we've brought back our production director, Justin Narveson, and the new host of Handful, Dan Zahns, in order to do what we do best, to make some picks. Now, of course, we have records from earlier in the season. We don't know what they are. Just assume that they're pretty mid. Gentlemen,
could probably do the math if we have any really cool listeners out there that have watched every single episode.
Yeah, one of the 7 of you, you can do it.
We believe.
So, gentlemen, how are you guys doing here?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been one of those kind of days. How about you, Justin?
Yeah, doing pretty good.
All right, well, let's get the pleasantries over with and get into the picks. We start, as the week does, on Thursday night with the Niners traveling up to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Justin, you're the ranking member here. Take us away.
Is this a new week that I'm hearing of? It starts on Thursday. I'm joking. Football starts on Thursday night. This is going to be the Niners by a mile. I mean, the Seahawks have looked shaky the last couple weeks against the Panthers this past week, taking the loss when they shouldn't have. But the Niners have looked good even with Brock Purdy at quarterback. He's been almost perfect for them. He's been outstanding, stepping in, filling in for the 2 injury-prone guys there. They've been injured once this year, and they're down for the year. So I got the Niners here.
I can't argue with that logic, but to be honest, I only want the Niners just because of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's he, in my mind, could be what Tom Brady is to the Patriots, except not at all. I just think the Niners will win, though. And also, the Seahawks just haven't looked that great at all. I mean, I thought it was Geno Smith's season, but really, it's really gone downhill a bit for him. But I still think the Seahawks could end up in one of those playoff spots. I don't think they'll win a playoff game, but they could make it there, potentially.
Well, look, if this were a different week, I might be tempted to pick to pick Seattle. San Francisco's down to their 3rd-string quarterback, and longtime viewers will know that I've never really been a Niners believer. I've always been a Geno Smith truther on this show, too. I think that he's playing great, but I think that the Niners are too good, and Seattle is just too mid. Even with a 4th-string quarterback, they might win this one, I'm sorry to say. It's unanimous. We're all picking San Francisco. We move on this week to the first and second of the Saturday games of this season. First, of interest to maybe some of our 7 viewers, Colts at Vikings. Dan, who you got?
Colts. I'm over the Vikings. I am so over the Vikings right now. As a Packers fan, as a football fan in general, I am over the Vikings. And I also just think Colts won't make a run out of it, but I think they'll just get a good, nice little win here. Maybe satisfy some of their fans after a bit of mid-football for most of the season. But I think this would be a nice one for the Colts to upset the Vikings in. And I see that happening.
Just as you have been a Geno Smith truther, I've been a Jeff Saturday truther from the get-go. And that's what's going to happen here is he gets his big marquee win to keep his job this week. If he picks up this win against the Vikings, he's not going anywhere with that Colts front office. It's Jeff Saturday all the way, and he's actually done something with this Colts team that we hadn't seen all season. So he's back a little bit, coming off a bye. Colts had the extra week to prepare. I think the Colts will have the one up on the Vikings here.
All right, well, see, this one is a tricky one because despite the fact that Indianapolis has improved over the last few weeks, they're still not a good football team. They are just not. But the thing is, if you buy into that conspiracy theory, as you might have seen during our Show Swap Week episode, that the NFL is scripted, then the Vikings would be a pretty good case for that. The last couple of years, we've had teams that have come out of the gate undefeated, really good, and then shown themselves to be complete frauds down the stretch and flamed out long before the playoffs. And wouldn't you know it, the Vikings look identical to the Steelers of a couple of years ago, the Cardinals. They are just not a good team. I think, what was it that I called them last week? Miscreants, losers, and riffraff? Something like that?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Sounds about right.
I didn't watch it. But That being said, it is still Blue Nation. I'm still Noah, and I'm still not picking Minnesota. So Colts by a nose. Elsewhere on Saturday, probably the best game of this week. Two good teams in the AFC in some nasty snowy weather down in Orchard Park, New York. It's the Dolphins traveling up to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Justin.
Are the Dolphins really that good?
The record says they are.
But the last 2 weeks haven't.
Well, elaborate on that. Make your pick, my friend.
Tua isn't him. I'm sorry to break it to all you Dolphins fans, even my German exchange student from high school. The Dolphins aren't it. I'm sorry to break it to you. They're starting to fall apart here, and Tua's flaws are really showing the last couple weeks, and it hasn't been good for them. And now you got to go. They needed warmers at where were they at this last week?
The Rams, right?
Yeah,
or somewhere at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, it was. They needed warmers on the bench when it was 55 degrees out. Now they're going up to Buffalo where it's going to be freezing and snowy, and they still look terrible. I just don't think the Dolphins are, and I think the Bills are going to run away with this one by a mile.
That's fair. I mean, I don't have a German exchange student as a friend, but I've liked the Dolphins this year. I don't know. It's just something about Tua proving some of the doubters wrong. Not the last couple of weeks, but the start of the year was pretty nice, eh? But I do want to piss off Noah this episode, so I'm going to pick the Dolphins over the Bills in this AFC divisional matchup. How do you feel about that, Noah?
Well, I feel like you're wrong. That's just how I feel about it.
If you
want to lose a point on that, be my guest. Go ahead and do it. Free country, free show. I am not going to do that. I'm going to pick the Bills, but I think this is going to be a really good game. If you'll remember, the Dolphins have 52 other guys on that roster that are not named Tua Tagovailoa, and they beat the Bills back earlier this season. Do I think it's going to happen again? No, because the Bills are a really good football team, probably the best team in the league. But I think they'll give them a run for their money, and I think it'll be pretty fun to watch because Buffalo is supposed to get some kind of a winter storm that night, and who doesn't love snowy, messy, rainy, low-scoring football?
Now let's just hope they don't move it to Detroit.
No, it's not going to be. It's not going to be 7 feet again this time.
I'm joking.
It'll be all right.
That you know of. Weatherman.
Hey, I almost became a meteorologist. I just decided to major in journalism.
Yeah,
instead.
but you didn't.
Yeah. And here you are lecturing us on weather.
The high temperature. No.
Can't wait for the snow.
I like snow. Anyway, if we can, we'd like to move it along to Sunday, when most football games are played, although not this week, where a game between two teams that used to be really bad and this year are surprisingly kind of decent. This one could be interesting. There'll be the Detroit Lions traveling to New Jersey to take on the New York Jets. Dan, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think the Lions have been on a hot streak, but I think the Jets cooled them off. That doesn't really make that much sense, but I like the Jets in this one. I think they match up better against the Lions, and as a Packers fan, I don't like seeing the Lions win, especially when the Packers still have a chance to make the playoffs. Right here, right now, Packers are 5-8 until they hit that 9-loss record. I don't want to hear it. I think they can still go over them. And to have that happen, I need the Lions to lose here. But at the same time, I just like the Jets over the Lions. Simply because of the defense, because of Mike White's season, and Garrett Wilson. I can't forget about Garrett Wilson.
The Lions' defense has been better than the Jets' defense for the last 5 weeks.
Doesn't mean it's going to be this time.
Against a backup quarterback who didn't look good last week. The Lions are starting to figure it out now. Dan Campbell all the way. Just like I'm a Jeff Saturday truther, I've been a Dan Campbell truther from the start. I'm sorry to break it to you, but Dan's going to bring it home, Dan.
Fun fact, though, he's the starting quarterback. He's not the backup. They named him starting. Zach Wilson was supposed to be the starter, but he's been benched, and now he's backup.
But is he the starter in this league? I don't think so, unfortunately. I like Mike White as well. His story's great, but I don't think he's starter-worthy in this league.
That's fair.
This is an interesting one, and because I'm managing editor, I chose to include it. That's why I did, because it's interesting. I think you both bring up great points. I think it's two great defenses, two good stories. But to me, I feel like the Jets might have one too many injuries. I don't know if I trust Mike White coming out, if he is starting, if he's healthy enough to go, after getting the snot knocked out of him for 4 quarters on a cold day in Buffalo, and being taken to the hospital with internal injuries. I don't know if I trust that. And I think that Jared Goff in Detroit is a better quarterback than a lot of people think he is. And I think that, you know, if you're going to, if it comes down to a quarterback, and if it comes down to vibes too, the Lions have better vibes with Dan Campbell biting kneecaps and all that stuff. Sauce Gardner has good vibes too, but not as good as the rest of the line.
Not Robert Saleh, though.
Not Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh has no vibes whatsoever. But I know in a toss-up you're supposed to pick the home team. I'm going Giants on the road. Lions. It rhymed. It rhymed.
Lions and Giants. It's
I was reading the wrong thing off the prompter. I'm going Lions on the road, and I don't know. To me they have it in them. But it's still a toss. Sunday Night Football is where the week continues, if I can learn how to talk and host my own show here, where the Giants travel down to Washington to take on the Commanders. Justin.
This is going to be disgusting. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This might be the worst Sunday Night Football game of the year. The Giants have kind of fallen off their high horse that they had at the beginning of the year. Commanders are trying to figure it out. Are they? Yeah. I'm going to go with the Giants just because I have Saquon on my fantasy team and I need him to do well. So that's my pick, and that's my reasoning behind it.
That's fair enough for me. Didn't they tie earlier this year, too?
I believe that was,
that was the tie.
That was the only, So I'm going to go that they tie again. No, actually, who knows? Maybe it could be lightning strike twice. It could be the worst Sunday Night Football game of the year. And that's the reason why. Honestly, it's a toss-up for me. I don't like either of these teams, and they both are hard to watch from time to time. So I'm going to say Giants because Danny Dimes, even though he hasn't been Danny Dimes for the last few weeks.
I mean, you guys are both going with the Giants. I want to make something clear. If this wasn't the Sunday night game, we would not be picking it. Watch something else on Sunday night. Have better plans than watching this game. But to me, I mean, these two, like it or not, they're both fringe playoff teams. If the season ended today, which let's hope it doesn't for the Packers' sake, the season ended today, these two would be the 6 and 7 seeds out of that NFC East. The thing is, I don't trust either of these teams. They both, first of all, the Giants, I think that they're complete frauds. I think that they've just kind of got lucky. And the Commanders aren't that much better. I feel like the Commanders are slightly more competent, but both of these teams are liable to play football while wearing clown noses. It's just, they're not teams that are going to win you a playoff game. They're not teams that you should feel confident picking in any game unless they're playing against, a Pop Warner team. I mean, they're good, and they can win games, but I wouldn't bet on it. So that being said, I'm going with Taylor Heineke because, he is a better quarterback than Danny Dimes, especially this year. I'm going with Taylor Heineke, and I'm going with the Washington Commanders. And last but not least, Monday Night Football, the most important game of the week. At least for us, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Rams make the cold trek into historic Lambeau Field in the frozen tundra to take on the Packers. Dan, wait, why are you picking the Packers?
Well, you see, I have no other choice. No. If I don't pick the Packers, Noah kicks me off the show and I'm banned. No, I picked the Packers because, the Rams are so injured right now. That quarterback position's looking mighty fine for the Rams. And Baker Mayfield, I don't know. I don't trust Baker Mayfield. I haven't trusted him since Carolina. and I don't trust him now. I don't think the last time he went up against the Packers when he was in Cleveland, I don't know if you guys remember that game, he threw like 3 picks and looked absolutely just scared out there. Obviously, different team, different time, but still, I love my Packers, and I don't love the Rams right now. So for that reason, I think the Packers are going to win this one. Very nice logic, right?
I don't want the Packers to make the playoffs. I'm going out on
Hold
a limb
on,
here.
hold on. Your name is Justin Narveson, correct?
Yeah.
You've been the same Justin Narveson that, we've known for a couple of years.
You haven't even let me give my reasoning yet.
No, I'm going to make sure that you are aware of what you're saying.
Yeah.
You are probably one of the biggest Packer fans I know.
Fair.
And you don't want your team to make the playoffs?
Not this year.
Elaborate.
Fall into the better draft position, draft someone you need, come back next year in Aaron Rodgers' final run. Let the wide receivers develop more too. I'm not opposed to not making the playoffs this time around. I think this Rams team with Baker Mayfield has a chip on their shoulder right now and are playing from behind. Sure, they look horrendous all year long, but Baker brought them back to life against the Raiders. Sure, the Raiders looked horrendous all year long, but Baker shot some life into them in that fourth quarter, and I could see it ended up going against the Packers here. Sure, the Packers have the advantage at home and everything, but they haven't looked good all year long, except for a few games. That Eagles game looked pretty good, but thanks to Jordan Love at the end. I wouldn't mind losing this and potentially even seeing some Jordan Love. Once we're out of playoff contention, I wouldn't be surprised if they say, let's give Jordan some snaps, let Roger heal up, go into the offseason with Roger's final run, trying to convince Jordan to stay, and that he's our guy for after Aaron after one more year. Sure, there's the rumors about Jordan Love leaving after requesting a trade if he doesn't start. But I'm not opposed to the Packers not making the playoff, taking a higher draft pick, and moving forward with one more year of Aaron Rodgers in the future in Jordan Love.
All right, I hear what you're saying, and it seems reasonable enough, but no. Just in a very kind, friendly way, no. I'm picking the Packers because I have to, because they're the Packers, and because they're better than the Rams. They're going to beat the Rams. The Rams, have 3 wins on the season? 4, thanks to Baker Mayfield, right? And don't get me wrong, if you've watched this program for about a year now, little less than that, but especially last semester, you'll know that I am, above all else, a Baker Mayfield stan for no reason. But I think that he's a lot better of a quarterback than he gets credit for. I think that game that you mentioned, Dan, where he played against Lambeau, that whole season he had a torn labrum or a partially torn labrum or something like that. He was hurt, and I don't think he got enough credit in that system. So I think that he's a good quarterback, but I don't think that they have a snowflake's chance in a very warm place of beating the Packers. And besides, even if they did, and even if the Packers got out of playoff contention and we threw in Love, which I wouldn't be opposed to because I like Jordan Love and I like the way he plays, but I want to see the Packers make the playoffs. I feel like this right now is Aaron Rodgers' final ride, and once you get into the playoffs with number 12, you never know what's going to happen. I want Aaron Rodgers to make the playoffs with the Packers one last time this year. You need to win that game to do it. Besides, the Rams are going to be like the easiest stepping stone over the last 4 weeks to do that. So I'm picking the Packers. Seem reasonable?
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. I understand where you come from.
All right, well, I'm glad that we agree, even though we don't agree.
We agree to disagree.
Yeah, but I was trying to avoid that because we agree, but we don't agree. But we're saying the same thing is what I'm trying to say, but we have different outcomes. It's different than agreeing to disagree. We're not saying, okay,
right.
Whatever. Well,
I think you guys should shake hands.
No.
No.
Okay, well, never mind.
I don't know when the last time he washed his hands was.
Are you going to let him call you out like that on air?
The last time I went to the bathroom, which I don't.
Let's dump out of it. Let's dump out of it. No hard feelings. Well, would you look at the time? This closes this episode and indeed this semester of Blue Nation. We certainly hope you've enjoyed it. We thank you for watching, and we hope that you'll stick around next semester. We also hope that I'll have a better haircut by then. We have some good stuff planned. I've done all the damage I can do here. To find more episodes of Blue Nation and other great TV10 content, visit us at mytv10.uwec.edu or check us out on YouTube. From Dan, Justin, and all the rest of us here in the studio, I'm Noah Schwartz. Good night, everybody.